everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is my April reading wrap-up. So for the month of April, I read a total of 5 books. Could have been more, but I got kind of busy this month. So let's just dive right into the books that I read. I read Paper Towns by John Green. I absolutely loved this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 star rating. I thought it was just so beautifully done, and I loved all the Walt Whitman quotes throughout this story. One of my favorite quotes was in the beginning, around page 40 or so, when Margot is talking to Q and she says, "We bring the fucking rain, Q, not the scattered showers." I just loved Margot so much, and I loved Q, and there were so many moments in this story that just cracked me up. Like, I enjoyed it so much. It was just a nice, easy read that it was just fun, and I loved the characters in this story. I also read The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon. While I enjoyed this novel, I found it very hard to read towards the middle of it. This story is told from the perspective of like a preteen boy, and he has autism. At the beginning of the story, he finds a dog that's been murdered, and he sets out to find the killer of the dog. While I enjoyed the book, and I really thought it was so great, I thought Mark Haddon did a really good job staying in character, and the autistic character was so believable, and it was just so intriguing to read about. There was a couple things that fell short for me for this book. Number one, like the mystery. I thought this was going to be like a mystery novel about this dog, but you find out who killed the dog in the middle of the story, and then the rest of the story is about kind of something else. It wasn't as much of a mystery as I thought it was going to be. Another thing that I just couldn't get into was towards the middle of the novel. While I did enjoy just seeing into the eyes of an autistic person and how they think, and the character was so believable, it got just to be too much towards the middle. I had to skip through a huge chunk of this in the middle of the story because it just was too much. It was too much, and there was like nothing really going on. It was just ramblings, like his inner thoughts, and it was just too much inner dialogue for me. So because of that, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't want to go any lower than 3 out of 5 stars because I think to write a whole story from the point of view of an autistic person takes a lot, and it's not an easy thing to do, and I think Mark Haddon did a beautiful job doing that. I also read The Magicians this month as a part of my Genre-thon readathon, and I talked about it in that wrap-up, but I absolutely hated this book so much. I gave it a 1 out of 5 stars. I really don't even want to waste my time talking about this book because it makes me angry. I'm going to be donating it to my local thrift store so that I don't have to look at it anymore. So The Magicians, I finished it, did not like it at all. There's really nothing I liked about this book. So I also read A Head Full of Ghosts this month, and this was my favorite book of 2016 by far. I have a book review up on my channel about this book. You can go check that out, but I really enjoyed this book. It follows a family whose one of their daughters they think is possessed, and they do an exorcism, and this exorcism goes on a reality television show, and the story is told from the younger daughter's point of view, about 15 years after all of these events takes place. She's telling this story to a writer who's writing a book about their life and everything that happened. This book left me it just rocked me. Like, it was so good. I enjoyed this book so much. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I also read this month If I Run by Terry Blackstock, and this book, it's about a girl whose best friend is murdered, and she goes in and she walks in on his body, and she thinks that the cops are going to think she did it, so she runs. And the whole story is kind of her on the run, and she's trying to, evade the cops while also trying to figure out what really happened to her friend. Along the way, you find out different types of things about her family, her background. I think I got like halfway through this book, and I was really enjoying it. I could not put it down. The writing was pretty good, and just the storyline kept me intrigued. And then all of a sudden, it got really preachy. and like references to like God and praying were brought out, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, this doesn't even go with anything. It was so forced. Then there was like another thing that was put into the storyline that just was too much, and then followed up with all of the God references. And I have nothing against like Christianity and everything like that. I don't have anything against that, but I found out later that this is a Christian book, and it doesn't say that it is. There's nothing, I feel like if you're gonna write a preachy like Christian book, the people picking it up should know what they're getting. And I'm okay with reading a Christian book if it goes well with the story, if it makes sense, but it was so forced. And then the author's note in the back of this book pissed me off. Basically, the author of this book is like a right-wing conservative religious person, and her author's note just made me never want to pick up another book by her ever again. The author's note was very off-putting. You would have to read it for yourself. And I don't mean to like ruffle any feathers, like I said. I have no problem with the Christian book. I would just like to know that that's what I'm getting into before I pick it up. And then I would also like, if it's going to have a heavy God theme or Jesus theme, I would like it to make sense in the story and not just be like randomly just shoving it down your throat. Like it did not go with this story. So I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. I didn't give it a 1 out of 5 stars because although there was parts that was annoying and the shoving of the religion down your throat was kind of annoying, it did keep me reading. I did want to know what happened at the end. And like I said, like the first half of the book was very good, and I was really intrigued by it, and I wanted to know what happened. I also started reading The Girl on the Train this month by Paula Hawkins. I'm only about a third of the way finished with this book, so I will be including my thoughts on this book in my May book wrap-up. So those are the books that I've read this month in April. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I've read, and let me know any suggestions of books that you think that I might like and that I should include in my May TBR. Alright guys, I will talk to you later.